Kilo Mike 4, Indio Echo, Quebec. This is Warrior Poet 1. Come in, over.
Kilo Mike 4, India Echo, Quebec. What's your location?
The cat is in its cradle. The cat is in its cradle. Over.
What is this guy talking about?
The spider is on its web. The spider is on its web. Over.
Warrior Poet 1, do you need something?
Listen. Keep pulling the sweater. Eventually the whole thing will unravel. Over.
Warrior Poet 1, I don't understand a thing you're trying to communicate to me.
Negative. The chair is against the window.
Warrior Poet 1, no idea. I have no idea what you're trying to communicate.
The chickens are roosting placidly.
We can't keep doing this, Warrior Poet 1.
Roger, the Falcon is entering hyperspace.
Clear the net.
The YouTube is on this channel.
That's it, we're done.
Hey folks, we're talking communications. I've got a new friend, Bob Griswold. Bob's a commo guy in the civilian sector, ham radio guy.
Yes, sir.
It's an area I really want to grow into, I'm interested in, and it's a piece of what you do for a living. What do you do for a living?
Well, we run an emergency preparedness business, ready-made resources, 22 years in business, and we're located with a brick-and-mortar store in Tennessee, eastern Tennessee.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, so kind of unpack that. What goes into emergency readiness or emergency preparedness?
So many people in our country have grown dependent upon the government to take care of their needs in an emergency. We believe people should be self-reliant to where they can take care of their own needs should an emergency occur in their life.
Okay, so what's in your store? I mean, you got radios and stuff, and I mean, you got all kinds of big guy fun stuff.
Yeah.
Commo is one big piece. What else?
We do a lot of emergency food provisions, a lot of the big names I'm sure people are aware of. We do a lot with solar. Our store is actually completely powered with solar energy. We do a lot of tactical gear, outdoor camping gear, water filtration, that type of stuff.
Awesome. Well, cool. I've already, I'm leading questions like, hey, what do you got, Bob? I'm like, I already know what he's got. I'm trying to be nice to you guys and introduce him because he's going to be kind of our subject matter expert for talking through a little combo. And what I want you to get out of this is what is, for somebody who doesn't already have a command station like you do where you can talk to anyone in the world kind of thing. Amazing. Wow. He's got a map on the ceiling of all these little red dots where he can communicate with. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Man, you can go everywhere. That's awesome. From this little
place
combo tower. That's awesome. But we're not so ambitious that we are going to immediately get your $1 billion setup in here. I'm sure it doesn't cost that much, but it's an investment.
Yeah, don't say that. My wife will be listening.
Gotcha. But kind of like an introductory thing of like, hey, man, I've got nothing. I'd like to grow into the area of preparedness in terms of communications. What do I need to go ahead and get?
Well, first of all, if you're going to communicate with amateur radio, you do need to get a license. A license has to be tested locally, and there's ham radio clubs in almost every county I can think of. If you have any question, if there's a ham radio club in your area, just go and type your county that you live in and type amateur radio club, and your amateur radio club for that locale will come up.
All right, fantastic. And I'm going to go do the licensing. Yay, hoorah. But I need something to use. What do I get?
Well, what I recommend is this is in the box. This is out of the box. It's a Anytone Terminator radio. This allows you to communicate on UHF, VHF. It actually receives 8 different bands, including NOAA, standard AM, FM. You can listen to HF, high frequency on it, which gives me the ability to listen to people around the world. But mainly, you have your UHF, VHF channels, which are the channels that most ham radio operators will use to communicate locally. And locally, I say up to about 100 miles.
Okay, why this and not something else?
Well, a lot of people go and buy a department store radio.
Okay.
The difference between these two radios is not much until you start looking at it. All radios work on line of sight. I mean, my antenna has to see this antenna to communicate. The problem is, on Earth, you start going over the horizon very quickly. You can also have obstructions in your way, buildings and so forth, and that prevents this radio from communicating. Plus, this radio has a fixed small antenna. I can take this antenna off and put any antenna I want on it, including a very large array antenna, the one you showed earlier.
Okay.
I can screw that on, and that gives the ability of this radio to have far more gain. Gain means distance. Also, the big difference between this is there are literally thousands of repeaters around the country, and a repeater is nothing more than a retransmitter that's up on a tower somewhere or a high building, and therefore line of sight becomes, my antenna can now see that antenna sitting on top of a 300-foot tower.
Bob hooked me up. Bob gave me a couple radios. I came up here to teach him a class, him and his posse, your crew, for a 2-day carbine class. Had a lot of fun. Turned the screws on y'all a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Enjoyed it very much, though.
Good. Y'all did great. Y'all did great. You also did terrible in some places, but we're all growing together. So but you did great, and it ended up just real hospitable. Your business, very, very cool setup. And really appreciate your friendship, and I like doing business with people I do. So I immediately, ordered a white phosphor night vision tube from you.
Outstanding.
Can't wait, and a helmet, and so I'm going to get all set up as well. But he gave me real nice. He gave me a couple of these little radios. They're called Terminators, which is the dorkiest name ever.
It's a cyborg radio.
The big and I want nerds to create this stuff because nerds make good stuff. So that's fantastic. But it's like the T2000 Terminator radio.
Yeah,
it's awesome. But anyway, it's a good radio.
Yes, it is.
It's a good radio, and this is what I got now as well.
It's weather resistant versus some of the cheaper radios that are not weather resistant.
Okay, cool. Very good. What do these weigh in at?
About $189.
Okay, very good. Cool. All right, awesome. What else you got for us?
Well, as I was saying, this radio allows you to communicate up to about 100 miles from your locale. Whereas a lot of people that have gone out and bought the department store radios, the sporting goods radios, they're going to be very, very limited. I would say in most locales you'll get no more than a mile no matter what the box says. So people who are dependent on using those store-bought radios, they're not going to be able to communicate.
All right, let's say, okay, I've got my little handheld, but I want a little bit more oomph, so you'll say, all right, replace the antenna with this. This didn't come in the box.
Replace this antenna.
So replace the antenna and say, hey, I want something like mega good. What can I do without breaking the bank?
Well, we can use that antenna there if you can bring it into the site. This is a sub $200 radio. And the nice thing about it, I carry a comm bag with me. This radio collapses. If you'll notice, all these elements come off. So it all fit into a bag nice and neat. And with this, as we said, line of sight, and my comm bag in my truck, I actually have a piece of monofilament and a lead weight. I could take and throw it over a high limb. I have a 30-foot cable, and I can hoist this radio high up in the air very easily, and all of a sudden my line of sight goes from about 5 feet off the ground to 30 feet off the ground. So then I can really increase my transmission.
Cool. You clever dog. It's light. Cool. Yeah, you'd think I'd know something about radios. I don't. In military, like you get your multi-channel frequency hop emitter whatevers or whatever the military's given is like and if something's screwing up, I just RTO come fix my radio, and then he fixes the radio, and then I talk on my radio. But this is a whole new world and for civilian stuff and ham stuff, and I got to learn about frequencies and weird stuff. And anyway, it's
I'd like
cool
to point out, a lot of people fear this because of the technology learning curve. My 12-year-old boy at the time went and took his ham radio license, became the youngest ham radio license operator in Monroe County. So if he can pass it, just about anybody can pass it. A lot of people fear the technology of learning, but it's not that hard.
All right, cool. Well, very good. Well, I'm excited to grow into the areas of commo. I think it's an area that I personally am just really, really weak in. I got a couple guns and ammo. I got a little bit of training and some cool gear. I got some food and water and all that stuff. But this is...
And a night vision.
Yeah, night vision, of course. Of course. But this is a big blaring weakness. In the military, it's not just about shooting. It's not pop, 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 pop. It's shoot, move, communicate. And those are 3 big pillars that the military sits upon. Shoot, move, communicate. And right now, I feel very, very lacking in my civilian context now in the commo place. So I like having a mentor who also can kind of supply all this stuff. So if you're interested in stuff like that, check out ready-made resources, and I'll provide links below for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Reach out to this guy. He's a wizard with all this stuff, and train hard, train smart. See you guys.
Thank you.